Hey, this is Kevin from Gemini Outdoors, and today we'll be talking about product testing in today's Theory of Use video. Stay tuned. So there's been a lot going on in the YouTube community here lately, talking about testing, product testing in particular. And I just wanted to get on here and kind of throw out my theory of use discussion on this issue that's going on right now. To me, product testing is very important. It's very important the way you test your products, because when you do a review or you do an evaluation, you are entrusted by your audience to be doing things and know what you're talking about. And to me, there's too many reviewers and evaluators on YouTube nowadays that confuse destroying something for testing it. Excuse me, my talking points tried to run away from me there. To me, testing is vitally important, but it's more important for me to show you what the product is capable of than to show you what the product cannot take. I've seen way too many reviews and evaluations based on testing that I don't think is reasonable. And I'll get to that here in just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and hit on to this talking point first, because there's a lot of people out there who believe that this kind of testing is the kind of testing that determines what a product can do, and that's destruction testing. I've seen some of the most ridiculous things, especially when it comes to knives. I've seen guys who have shot knives with a pistol and based their review off of that. And I'm kind of like, well, what does that show? And then I've seen guys who've taken knives and tried to pry car doors off, and I'm like, it's not a pry bar. Why? Yeah, if there's an instance to where you absolutely have to have that piece of product do that job, then yeah, do it, especially if you have to save a life. But some things are just crazy. I've seen people run over stuff with a vehicle. I actually saw a guy run, I forgot what it was, I believe it was a rifle, over with a bulldozer. And I'm like, what is this accomplishing? What is this showing? It's not reasonable. Destruction testing only shows what it takes to destroy a product. It doesn't show you necessarily what that product can do. And it makes no sense to me to perform a destruction test on a product unless it's just pure fun. I mean, if you're doing it for the fun and you want to blow the money or whatever, then I can understand it. Even the one where I seen a guy shoot, it was an M-Tech knife. He shot it with, I believe it was a 380, and even he said that this isn't showing exactly what the product can do. And I was just like, well, no duh. Of course it doesn't show what it can do, because I've shown what they can do, depending on what kinds you get. I just don't think destruction testing is something that you should do and incorporate it into your overall review or into your overall evaluation. If you are, then I think you've probably made a big mistake in doing that. So moving on, we move on to another category of testing that I don't really care for, and that is what I call unreasonable testing. Unreasonable testing is used to discredit a product by testing the product to beyond its capabilities. An example of that would be of a small bushcraft blade used to chop down a tree, and or a folding blade to pry open a car door, as I was mentioning earlier. That falls more under the unreasonable category to me. You shouldn't, like, especially when you're basing it all for a review, for a evaluation on that product. I just think that it's unreasonable because it does not reasonably show what the product can do. It's basically being used as a scapegoat. Well, this knife, it can't pry this car door loose, so it's a piece of junk. Throw it in a junk pile. No, I don't believe that. Or taking a bushcraft blade that is not designed to chop anything down and try chopping down a tree with it. I've seen those kinds of testing on YouTube, along with a lot of other stuff. Expecting certain types of guns to do, to take down something that it wasn't meant to take down, such as like a 22 or something like that. I do not believe in unreasonably testing my products. You'll never see me doing an unreasonable test, or at least what I believe is an unreasonable test on my products. To me, a knife should be able to cut, depending on what type of a blade it is. If it's a bushcraft blade, then it's carving, cutting, stuff like that. Food processing. Excuse me, I am battling a cold, so I apologize for that. A folding blade would be the same way, stuff like that. And it bothers me that there's a lot of people out there, and I think that there's a little bit more to it than what a lot of people want to put out there. I think that maybe there could be some companies. I know people are going to say, "Oh, you're one of those conspiracy theory guys," but I do believe that maybe sometimes a company will tell a reviewer or an evaluator to, hey, make our product look better. Make our product, make these other products look a little bit worse, and we'll keep feeding you our product. I don't believe in that, and that's why so far I have not gotten any type of sponsorship deals. I've not gotten any type of freebies, as they call them. I've never gotten one of those. Everything that you've seen tested in this, I have either excuse me, I've either bought it myself or I have borrowed it from a friend. And so far, like I said, you haven't seen any unreasonable testing to me. Reasonable testing, moving on to that, is using the product the way it's supposed to be used. A knife is a knife. It's supposed to cut. You can do some light chopping and stuff like that with it. Just using it the way it's intended to be used. You wouldn't want to try to chop down a tree with a gun. I'm sure you can do it, but you're wasting a lot of ammo, and that's not what that gun's designed to do. Products being tested in different weather conditions, I consider to be reasonable testing. Some people don't. Being out there in the super cold or in the super hot, I think that's perfectly reasonable. They should be able to withstand temperatures. Products should be able to withstand temperatures unless otherwise they're otherwise said that they can't. I believe a knife should be able to perform in cold weather or hot weather. A gun should be able to perform in cold weather or hot weather. But there's other products that won't. And if they can't do that, then would it be considered a test failure? Well, to me, yes. But I actually, as far as destruction testing and stuff like unreasonable testing is concerned, I had a comment on Survival on Purpose's channel. I strongly suggest you check him out. I think he has a real good channel. We actually had some comments to each other talking about that, and I think he agrees with me where I stand on destruction testing. destruction testing just to me is pointless. It doesn't show you what the product is capable of. It shows you what it cannot take, and that's just the to me. I don't understand why people want to want to do it if it really isn't showing what the product's capable of doing. And you can usually tell which reviewers are good and not good based off of that. If you get on a channel, and I'm not saying that they're not entertaining, they are. Some of them are kind of entertaining to watch, but don't base your opinion on that product off of that destruction testing or unreasonable testing. Like I said, sometimes there may be a little bit more to it than what you think. It could be that there's an agenda behind it from either the reviewer or from the producer of that, manufacturer of that product. So always keep that in mind when you're viewing these channels, and you can kind of, like I said, you can kind of tell a good reviewer from a bad reviewer or evaluator, whichever one you want to go with. I go with evaluator. But if you see somebody who that's the majority of their testing, just doing unreasonable or destruction testing, more likely they're not a serious reviewer, they're not a serious evaluator, because they don't want to take the time to show what the product is capable of doing. They just rather show it getting destroyed. And just to me, that gives good reviewers and good evaluators a bad name. And to me, when I see that kind of stuff, usually I just click on somebody else. There are a lot of good reviewers and evaluators out there who take the time to show you what the product is capable of. Now, in my evaluations, am I going to show you 3 or 4 hours worth of video of me beating on something, or me batoning a knife, or carving a tent stake or stuff like that? No, I'm going to give you about a 5-minute overall view of the product testing that I've done. Usually when I bring a product to evaluation, it is I've put in probably weeks, if not months, of testing on that. I usually go with a minimum of weeks. I'll use the product for a few weeks. Excuse me. And if I'm really have time to do it, like it's approaching summertime now, and I have a lot more time to be able to get out and evaluate stuff, then I will probably use it for a month or 2 months, something like that. So, but usually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go somewhere, maybe the backyard. Maybe, I know there's a lot of people who talks about backyard testing. Well, tough to get over it. Some of us can't run out to the national park down the road, excuse me again, and make a real pretty scenery and all that. I can't do that where I live, because the closest national park to me is about an hour and a half away. So I don't have the money to be able to go do stuff like that. So usually I'll show you what I do in either the backyard, or I got a little wood lot I can go to, and I have done that. So like I said, you're going to get about 5 minutes of videos doing the various tests. Like for a survival blade, I might do a chopping test, and I might do like a batoning test. I think that's a pretty good representation of what a survival blade will do. If I was going to do a bushcraft blade, I would maybe carving, something like that. Maybe carve like a tent stake or something like that to that, and maybe some light batoning of some kindling or something of that nature. I would probably do that. A folding blade, usually what I do with a folding blade is I just EDC it. And I've got quite a few of those that I've got to get to as well. But usually I'll carry them around in my pocket for about on me in my everyday carry for about a month. Something like that, month and a half, and I'll use it cutting and stuff. And then what I usually do is same thing, like a carving test or something like that. to show you what the blade is capable of. Now, you're not going to see me prying off car doors with it, you know, and that kind of gets back to my whole point about my TOU on product testing. To me, it needs to be reasonable, you know, and other products as well. You're going to get about a 5-minute video of test videos or demo videos. If I can't actually do a proper test on it, I'll actually do a demo video, which that's what most of them are, is demo videos. Like I said, the testing process is just too long to video that and then incorporate it into the evaluation. Right now, I don't have quite the editing software to be able to do that. I'm hoping on purchasing some here very soon to be able to allow me to do player and player, and I'll be able to do more of the test videos and stuff like that. I am hoping to get to that, but for right now, you'll just have to make do with what I've got. So in conclusion, you know, doing reasonable testing, I think, is very important, and staying away from destruction testing, making destruction testing and unreasonable testing the sole source of where your testing is coming from, I think would be a smart idea, especially if you want to be known as a good evaluator, a good reviewer on YouTube. So stay away from the destruction testing, stay away from the unreasonable testing, and just use the product the way it's supposed to be used. I mean, yeah, you can abuse it some. I'm not saying that products ain't supposed to be abused, but you know, being reasonable about it too, and not expecting, you know, your knife to be the magical blade that supposedly exists out there either. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you understand a little bit more how I feel about product testing now, and why I think it's very important, especially if you are a YouTube reviewer / evaluator. I think it's very important how you evaluate your stuff. Thank you for viewing.